We'll have to go to commercial or go to those pledge breaks.
Well, before we go to any commercials, Rich, we're live. So let's go live. Hey, this is Chris Brown, along with my anchor. I let him say his own name so he can pop up on the.
C. Rich Hallstrom.
There you go. There you go. And we have CL Brown from theathletic.com who is joining us right here, flying wing with us, just like he did in the book.
That's why I couldn't say my name.
Let's scratch that. Scratch it. Go ahead. And we have in studio today, we have
at my mama's house, CL Brown. I am with the Athletic / Fieldhouse, our college basketball branch under the umbrella of the Athletic. Subscription only website. I can just put in the plug for it. Yes. We just finished our first year of college basketball, or our first season, I should say, because we just started back in October. So very, very productive, I think, very productive season. And hopefully the future looks good for our site.
Some excellent content on that site. I highly recommend it. And yes, I'm a subscriber. I enjoy it very much. And of course, we're here talking about the book. And just to kick it off, to be honest with you, CL has been, he's been traveling with that little event you might have heard of called March Madness. So he's been, going around the country and covering that. So I don't know that he's actually seen a live copy of the book. And so we would like to take this opportunity to just thank you for everything that you did. Of course, he did our prologue, our forward in the book. And he gave us a quote on the back of the book. His name's on there as well. So I'd like to present this token of our appreciation. And it is a token because your actual one I got back. I need that back.
Got a new definition of light reading material, gentlemen?
What? Say it again.
Is that a new definition for light reading material? That's not really his version.
Yes. Yes. So we're good to go. We're off and running, and can we let's stand up and get some sweet looking airtime. Yeah. Okay. It's backwards, but I don't know. Maybe we can fix that somehow, some way. So we got CL here. Tell us a little bit about March Madness. Like, what was different this year? Can I just say this? You were way more relaxed in your coverage, if you ask me. I thought you were just yourself and say things,
Way more relaxed than as opposed to what?
As opposed to kind of feeling the pressure.
Oh, well, yeah. Thank you, but I feel like I'm always that way in March. This year was I feel like we say this about the tournament every year because there are upsets that happen, but obviously this was historic with UMBC beating Virginia, a 16 seed beating a 1 for the first time ever. And the left side of the bracket, which were the South and the West regions, ended up producing Loyola, Chicago, and Michigan, which not a lot of people had. That was an 11 seed Loyola, Chicago, and a 3 seed Michigan. Not a lot of people had that the way it transpired. It seems like everybody loves upsets until the later rounds. Then you want the blue blood teams, or at least the teams in that particular year that were powerhouse teams to rise to the top. And it didn't happen that way this year. And the championship game, frankly, was a byproduct of that because Villanova was far and away better than Michigan was. But, we have some teams where you feel like, some years where you feel like the wrong team won the championship. You could say the right team won it this year. Villanova was one of a handful of teams that were consistent from start to finish. And obviously they played big when it mattered.
Right.
I would have put Virginia on the list as a legitimate team this year. That could have, if they would have won, I would have said the right team won it. To go 20-1, that includes the ACC tournament in the ACC is unbalanced schedule or not, that is an accomplishment.
Yeah,
They won at Duke and Cameron Indoor Stadium. They beat Carolina twice, including in Charlottesville and in the ACC tournament.
Yeah.
So they were legit. I mean, they just fell prey to a bad injury to arguably their most talented player, freshman DeAndre Hunter, right before the tournament started. I think if they would have had a chance to play without him one game and kind of get used to not having him there, that may have made a difference. But credit to UMBC because the game was tied at halftime, so it wasn't like they didn't sneak up on them or anything. That second half was something else. 53 points in the second half. Virginia had, I think it was 14 games where they didn't allow teams to score 50. No, is that right? To score 53, or they had at least 14 games where they kept an opponent under 60 for the entire game. So to score 53 and a half was against Virginia something else.
Yeah, that is something else. Teams go the whole game and barely hit that. Yeah, Virginia, I said to a friend, I tweeted it out, I said to a friend a couple days before, I'm just worried about their experience. You got to lose big before you win big, and boom, that happened. So, but I know one thing, they're going to be back, I believe. They'll be back, and
I believe that Tony Bennett, Virginia's head coach, is one of the coaches that, in the same way we talk about Mike Krzyzewski, Roy Williams, guys like that right now, in the future, those guys retire and we're looking for the next wave of great coaches. We're going to say Tony Bennett on a consistent basis, I believe.
I agree with that. I agree. Carolina wants to know who our next great coach is going to be after Williams. I think that's something on people's minds. CL went to Carolina, so did I. So we're talking about Carolina alums, and Rich hears all too much of that all the time out there in Seattle. He hears about it a little bit. Right, Rich?
Yeah, well, right now, Mike Hopkins is getting things back together for the University of Washington men's basketball program. Outstanding first year. Get the ship righted after Romar left town. Mike Hopkins, the 2-3 zone, the old Syracuse influence, fitting right in right now. And so it's going to be for Husky fans, it's nowhere but up. When you're as far down as Washington has been as far as men's college basketball, you got to just put one foot in front of the other and concentrate on the future. And that's what the Huskies have been able to do. Mike Hopkins been able to get some recruits, and we'll see what happens for next year.
All right. Well, so, we're on the subject of C.L. Brown's excellent coverage, and, the book, too, we're just continuing to celebrate the release of the book. Thank you all who have already gotten the book and have gone through it and gotten some very encouraging feedback about it. And CL is all over the book. And to be honest with you, he doesn't know yet. He does not know some of the parts. Am I right? You don't know some of the parts? Yes, I think he'll be.
Maybe I should have done this show until after I read those parts.
He will hopefully be pleasantly surprised. And if not, you know what Rich's number is and how to get in touch with him. Rich Hallstrom, P.O. Box.
I am used to getting late night phone calls, Chris, so that wouldn't surprise me.
Yes, yeah. No, but just the gist of the book, the Thunder Sports Network, it really seems like and sounds like maybe it's kind of real rigid and about a production company and how to do it. If you're a producer, this is how you do it. And it really is not like that at all. Even reading it again, reading chapters again, I see it as very much a personal story. It is our personal journey in trying to live out this dream that we had called the Thunder Sports Network. And CL gave us, a great prologue and everything, but he's involved in the book, specifically the Super Bowl aspect of the book. The pinnacle of our entire existence as Thunder Sports was when we got credentials to the Super Bowl in 2006. So CL was actually there, and we had him do some things with us. It was a lot of fun. He talks about that a little bit in the prologue. But what do you remember? Like, what's the first thing you think about when you think? I know the win. for still. What else?
I mean, what I'm supposed to say? Yeah, well, just kind of obviously that was the first and only Super Bowl I've been to in person. So the magnitude of it all, you know, the only thing that I really could compare it to was I'd been to a Final Four at that point. I'd been to the NBA Finals at that point, and I'd been not to a World Series, but a National League championship series between the Braves and the Cardinals in the mid-90s. So I'd been kind of on that stage, you know, events that are up that stage. But
wait, were you covering that game? Braves and Cardinals?
No. I was tagging along with that. Like that was when I worked in Columbus, Georgia. So yeah, I just got to go. It was when Turner Field was first being. It was really completed. They were still playing in Fulton County Stadium, and we got to tour the new. At that time, the new Turner Field and everything. So, but yeah, I mean, it just kind of comparing it to those two events, it was, well, not those two, but all of those, you know, championship level events. The Super Bowl was just, it was on another level in terms of just kind of like you felt the weight up. Now, maybe some of that had to do with me being a Steelers fan. And so I went into it. It was more personal to me then too, you know. But just every little detail involved with it was something else. And then I still, you know, to this day, when you think about it, I still can't believe y'all were actually covering it.
Yeah, that's something else. We did, and this is available on the YouTube site. If you look through the videos, you can find. The interview that we did with CL. He was in the stands. That was a pretty interesting time there. You know, I went up in the stands, and our camera guy, known in the book as Zach, he was down on the ground, and yeah, that was just a lot of fun. That was just kind of a pinnacle feel to it. You know, I don't know. It just felt really awesome knowing that CL was a professional writer in sports, and then I had this opportunity because of Under Sports. You know, so we met up in sports. There's a lot in our childhood about sports. Oh, by the way, speaking of that, can you again? What you have to understand the Richardson's moment where CL, he's been super busy, busiest time of the year for him. So, you know, minutiae about the book he's yet to dive into. And there was a part of the book where I described some of our fandom and a certain phone number for Dallas Sports that we had to call. Do you remember that number?
I think it was, I remember 976-1313.
Yes.
900-976-1313.
That number is actually in the book. We're talking to you, man. AT&T, you watching? Yeah, that number is in the book. And part of the reason that we have it memorized is because we called it so much trying to get updates for our teams. It was easier for him because he's Steelers, but for me, you know, Seahawks at the time, living in North Carolina, you wouldn't have the updates. There was no internet. You didn't have the updates like that. So we had to, we wanted to call this number, but also in the book pledged the first $23 of profit to pay back the bill that our poor mother had to foot.
It was 50 cents a call.
50 cents a pop. 50 cents a pop. Yeah.
50 cents goes a long way. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, we
didn't have 50.
We did not have calls. we tried to leech on to our friend Jamal Summy, his paper route. You remember that, to try to make up for it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you were there. We tried to reach on and say, okay, can we do this? You got a paper route, can we help you out? And he had us out there helping him. But I don't remember seeing any money from that.
Maybe we didn't help enough.
Yeah,
well, maybe we could call him up and have him buy a book.
There you go. Going down the street a couple houses might not amount to a lot of help. I mean, like, we barely went off the block for that. Yeah, so and during the game, how late did you stay after the game, the Super Bowl? Did you?
I don't remember how late we stayed. Obviously, you know, the presentations on the field we stayed for, but after that, I think we left because I was with our aunt Margaret Jean.
Who's mentioned in the book.
Yeah, so yeah, it's not like she just wanted to hang around for random fandom. So yeah, but we didn't. It wasn't like a quick exit because you know 80,000 people, whatever, 70,000. So we weren't going anywhere anyway. So.
Right. Well, did you? I just wondered. Did you see us after the game? Did you see? You remember seeing us?
I feel like I remember seeing y'all go on to the field to kind of set up, but I don't remember watching y'all tape and stuff like that.
Yeah, because you know we were on the wrong side. Did you know that we were on the wrong side of the field?
Well, I knew that because you told me, not because y'all went out there that I saw and I was thinking that.
Yeah, Rich, were you aware at all, like when we were setting up? Did it strike you as weird?
Yes, it did, actually. And one of the things that I also remember is I believe that God protected us. And let me explain how that works. This is my remembrance of being on the field and being on those sidelines at the end. We had, I would say, 3 or 4 yellow jacketed security people in front of us, and no one bothered us. That's one thing that I remember. So it was kind of like we had a little cordoned off area that was just perfect for us, and I don't think that's a coincidence.
Yeah, I agree with that. And if you
bodyguards,
bodyguards, if you look at the back of the book, you can see the picture of us. And if you look closely, it's part of a bigger picture. Actually, the picture is also in the book, in the pictures section in the middle, right before the LT chapter. It shows you, you know, that a better look at that picture, which you know, it's hard to see, but that picture right there, you can see that we're in the background of the NFL Network shot. That picture was taken from behind their scene, and we were in their background, and nobody said a word. And that's unheard of. That's pretty incredible. That is pretty incredible. So that's part of that just great happenstance there. That it was so great that we decided it deserved a book. But not only that, you know, there are other things too that deserve a book. There's a chapter in there called Football is Family. And in the Football is Family chapter, you know, that's one of the ones I read. I really just got personal with how family supported us in many different ways. You know, Rich's mom, you know, God rest her, and you know, we dedicated the book to her, and you know, other members of Rich's family, members of my family, my mother. I just talk about how sports connected us. You know, my brother-in-law Rodney, who did some of the print work with us. So, you know, this is the type of thing that we're talking about in the book, and there's a storyline that runs through it. Okay, there's a theme through it, but you know, the book is more behind the scenes, some of our failures, some of our successes, how we kept going, and through it all, really despite it all, how God kept us, you know, focused on the prize, and He delivered big time in the end. So before we get into more of that, I just want to again thank C.L. Brown for, you know, blessing us with your words in the book. I've already received a couple of compliments on your prologue, and I thought about maybe taking it out for a minute until I can get them to look at my stuff. Then we can get them. They like look at his prologue and they're done, Rich. They're like, okay, sweet.
Well, that's because people's.
Well, you gotta always have something all-star to start things off, and we got a true all-star in Corey to start things off. So that's the way I look at it. Corey, I got one real quick question for you in regards to the prologue. Where did you get your idea for what you wrote in the prologue? How did you come up with that?
Honest, I just started writing. I asked Chris a couple of questions in terms of what you guys were looking for, and just kind of based on that, I just started writing, man. And you know, I may have gone through it a couple of times and edited a little bit here and there, but it was pretty much, just kind of the first take, and I pretty much stayed with what I had on the first run. My deal was, I was afraid because of the timing of it that we were trying to, obviously I'm doing this while I'm doing my job.
Right.
I just wanted to make sure I could get it to you guys so it would actually get in the book, as opposed to me missing a deadline and then misconnecting. So everything worked out.
Yeah, it's in plenty of time. And by the way, I'd like to point out the timing of it. Understand that he was writing it parallel to us writing the book. So we didn't have a lot of correspondence as far as content, went. But if you notice, as you get through the book, there is an element that is in, and I'll go ahead and say it, it's in his prologue, and it is the element of the phrase perfectly absurd. That I thought, when I read that, I was like, that is spot on to describe, some of what was happening to us. It was just a perfect kind of storm falling on these guys who were a con man and a cripple types. That seemed like they're types, although we dispel that right away. But so I actually used that. After I read that, I went back in and used it at a couple points, which you'll be able to find in the book that were that made that point, and I just hadn't said it. I hadn't put words to it. So CL was able to, do what he does, put the words to it, and it thematically worked really well through the book. So good stuff all the way up. And the last thing I want to say is with CL is that he mentions a story about us in church. And crawling.
That's a great story.
You think that's a good story? Okay, Rich, we'll talk about that later. But crawling under bleachers and that type of thing. Oh, by the way, my mom read the book. I don't think she did that.
I don't think she did either.
She's like, what? She's like, what is this about now?
Is there a conversation coming up that you know about, guys?
Huh?
Is there a conversation coming up that you guys are going to have with your mom? With your
Brother,
mom one of these days?
It's already happened, brother. She's like, what is, that was the first thing she asked me. What is this about crawling under? So,
I'm the younger brother, though, so I was just following his. I mean, what was that supposed to do? You're going to go where your big brother tells you to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that one, actually. That's a cool one. But, so yeah, but folks, hey, even if I was rather delinquent with that whole thing, God turned it all around. So that's what I have to say about that. I'm glad that story's out there. And I'm glad we have an all-star, opening up with the opening pitches for us. CL Brown from theathletic.com joining us. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. And
see you later, Rich. Thank
you. See you.
We're gonna let him slide out, and Rich, we're gonna do some more conversing here and talking. Rich, what kind of feedback have you gotten about the book?
Well, I got a little small email this morning from my pastor, and he says this looks really good. This looks really cool.
Nice.
For his official words.
Nice. That's always good.
That's lead pastor Ben Sigmund of Timberlake Church, who I also thank in my dedications. So they have been very, very instrumental in what we've been doing, praying for things, and that's currently where Sheila, my wife, and I go to church, and they're very supportive of different efforts like this to reach out to people and inspire people. So it was a no-brainer to thank Timberlake and to thank all the people that we had in our dedications. I mean, this is another thing, Chris, that I don't think a lot of people think about when they think of a project like this. It takes a lot of influence from a lot of different sources to make things go right. And I believe that God used those things to make this a successful project.
Mm-hmm. Amen to that. And thank you, Rich, for reminding me. One thing I do want to do is mention my current church, because, my family has just moved, to one city over. And so we were finding a new church and everything. It was too far to commute. unfortunately, to my previous church, which is in the book, my previous church, and they're named Grace Community Church in Greensboro, North Carolina. That is an excellent church. Excellent church with great leadership. And of course, I got a Carolina grad as the associate pastor, one of the big wigs, Marshall Benbow. Love that guy. Will Dungy, love that guy. Bill Goins. I can't mention Bill, the head pastor. Of course, he would say he doesn't call himself that. He doesn't call himself a senior pastor. He barely even likes that title. He has some other title. I don't even know what it is. As far as I'm concerned, he's a senior pastor. He's a great guy. But yeah, we thoroughly enjoyed being there. Now we are at Redeemer Presbyterian Church, and we are very much enjoying that church in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And Trip Sanders is a guy that I've really connected with. He's associate pastor there. But the lead pastor, Giorgio Hyatt, is Rich, this guy is challenging. This guy, I'd have to go back. This guy is one of the most challenging speakers I've heard in a long time. So we love Redeemer, and we are very much enjoying it. So I did want to mention them because, they came on board kind of too late for us to put them in the book. We've only been going there for a few months. And so, but I did want to just publicly say that we really love them and appreciate that church. Churches are a big part of all this, as Rich is saying. The people that we've met, Rich, we met at church.
Yep, exactly. And there's a specific chapter that I'll refer to that I had the privilege of writing, The Quarterback from Church. And I think if I was to give people a place to start in the book, that might be one of the chapters that I recommend.
Mm-hmm.
Because that really kind of solidifies the theme of the book running all the way throughout. And it's a real inside look, I believe, at how professional athletes, when they do it right, can influence people and can also be a dynamic part of a church body.
True that. Yeah. It's it's a rare thing, it's a rare thing to have a professional athlete in the midst, if so, first of all, you have to live in the right place and whatnot. But that was really part of this mix here, Rich, that we went to a church and met at a church in Seattle, Washington, Antioch Bible Church, which is also in the thank yous in the book. And, that at the time, Antioch was pastored by Ken Hutcherson. And now Ken is enjoying our book in heaven with the Lord.
Yeah, he's got the big screen edition.
Yeah, yeah, he does. I think his dynamic ministry and the Lord attracted, guys in sport, on field, off field, whatever. They attracted these guys. They knew they'd get a solid word. They knew they would not be the focus of attention, but rather Jesus Christ would. So that was a unique place to go. In fact, I remember, Rich, one time recognizing a player from the Seahawks who was standing out front as church was, people going into the service, and this guy was standing out front, and he was looking for someone. He was by himself, and people did not recognize him. But me, being a football head that I am, I immediately recognized him, and I went up to him, and I said, "Hey, what's up, man? You good? Do you know where everything is?" And it was his first time there. This is his first time ever there. But that was I think that might have been a nice moment that somebody recognized him. He was near Seattle, coming from Indianapolis, and perhaps that helped him because he was there the next week too. So, just moments like that I remember, and they fuel what we're talking about.
Exactly.
In this book. Especially, we talk about, the camaraderie that happens between us and athletes. And the camaraderie is not because we're cool. It's not because Rich is very good looking. Okay, that's not why there's a camaraderie.
That wouldn't even appear on the scale, man. So we got to pick something else.
In fact, there might be a little jealousy from the players about Rich's people, but I'm just I'm just saying that's not it. And it's not because we've experienced that level of battle, you know, on the football field. It's because of the commonality in Christ. That's why there was a camaraderie, and that's why, you know, people immediately, we took to people and they took to us, and we had just a nice, relaxed atmosphere. So we talk about some of that, you know, in this book and what we were able to do because of that camaraderie. Now, Rich, that's interesting that you would kick them off with the quarterback from church. You know, that's interesting because I think, I think I'd kick him off from the beginning. I mean, I like the way we began the book, you know, but I gotta say, a chapter that is a chapter that I really like is the Arena Commish. I really like that chapter.
Well, I know you enjoyed writing that one.
Thank you. Yeah, the Lord had me smiling as I was writing that chapter, and it is you know, the chapter title has a dual meaning to it. I'm going to read you a little excerpt here from it because, you know, it talks about one of our failures. Rich, would you say that might be, wow, that might be our largest failure? I mean, besides stopping Thunder Sports, even that, Rich, I don't think was as big a failure as New Orleans was. What do you think?
I would agree with you. That New Orleans was probably one of our most challenging times on many different fronts. Being in a different part of the country that had just experienced a horrific event in Hurricane Katrina, the first sporting event back in the New Orleans area after Hurricane Katrina. That's no coincidence. I think there were some great lessons. We learned how to be very resourceful. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Under circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tough lesson. It's a tough way to learn too. But and before I read this, I'm actually gonna go ahead and just make sure I mention how you can get the book, because we haven't said anything about that. Now, the book, if you want to read it the way that well over 60% of books are read these days, it's in ebook form. We feel like we have an excellent deal for you because ebook form is only $2.99 at the main retailers like Google Play Books or iBooks, which is, you know, iTunes, their book side, and also Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, or our publisher WestboroPress.com. All those you can go and you can get an ebook. Now, the one thing that Google has though is over the others is they're selling it for only $2.51. So for $2.51, you can get into the book, you know, on your favorite device and slide right through it. And I gotta say, ebooks are pretty cool because you can search terms, you know, and do things like that. Yeah, you can get it. I'm gonna put a link up just so you will know how to get it, and you'll be able to just click on it and hit it up. Now, obviously, hopefully you saw CL's response when he saw the book, and you know he liked what he saw, and it's a good feel to it. It's a good size book. It's not too daunting, but it's not flimsy, you know. And so it's a good, fast, entertaining read that is personal in nature, not corporate and stiff. So,
yeah, I would say it's a perfect book size for someone who you may know might be interested in what we're talking about, but they might not be an avid reader. This might be something to really get them involved in reading and kick off a brand new habit.
Yeah, great point, Rich. Yeah, I would say that you know, avid readers will fly through this book. Well, but Rich, you know, the one thing that might slow down an avid reader is that this book is filled with sports terms and sports, phraseology and everything. So, they'll have to slow down a little bit to really understand where we're coming from, the way things are structured, and I think it's interesting. Like somebody, who might not be such a huge sports fan, but might be a big fan of the Lord or might be a big fan of Rich Hallstrom or something like that. That person, when they get into the behind the scenes of how things kind of work, they'll enjoy it. I think they'll really like it. So that's another thing that I think this book has going for it. It's a good read. It's a fast read. It's a personal read, and it's an informative read. And I tell you, we can take you places in this book that your favorite sports network cannot. Now, that's not saying anything about someone's favorite sports network. I'm just saying that's where we go in the book and in terms of
intentional.
In terms of scope. Go ahead, Rich.
I was just commenting that is intentional. We did not want to be the average sports book, and I think that with the Lord guiding us, I think that's what we achieved, is not to be the average sports book, because there are a lot of different sports books out there, but I can say with confidence, none like this.
Right. Yeah. Me too. I'm very confident that is a true statement that Rich Hallstrom just made. There aren't any like this. Now, so let me read this. The Arena Commission. I'm just going to read a couple parts of the chapter. First of all, okay, it says, I would be remiss if I didn't mention a serious speed bump that our staff encountered in New Orleans. We almost named this chapter Losing at the Arena League Championship. Okay, now I'm going to skip over here. And so what I begin to do is describe what was going on and some of the speed bumps that were happening and the miscommunication with staff. But I was not understanding why. But listen to this. I, Mr. Outgoing Risk Taker, was flabbergasted. It was not registering with my brain as to not only why they would not get these things done, but then why they would not try again in conclusion.